Mr. Relevant on a Wednesday. How you doing, everybody? I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Everlight Solar Studio, downtown Madison. It has been a day, man. It has been a huge 24 hours for us personally at Mr. Irrelevant. I'm Alex Strouf, as mentioned. Hunter Vaughn is our producer. He will join us shortly to recap the past 24 hours. No guest today. We had something pop up, so we are going to play a game that I invented that two old men, who actually aren't that old, don't know how to play correctly on the afternoon drive show on ESPN Madison called Rutledge and Hamilton, which I used to produce. I came up with a game called Tinder Time years ago. They don't know how to play it, so I'm stealing it back. We're going to play that in about 10 minutes. Let's start with the Packers. Then we will recap the last 24 hours and why it's been a big 24 hours for this particular program. Let's start with the James Robinson news in Green Bay. So the Packers have signed running back James Robinson, the 25-year-old free agent, to their practice squad following the release of Patrick Taylor last week after he used up all of his elevations from the practice squad. Look, I like this signing. James Robinson worked out with the Packers 2 weeks ago ahead of, I believe, the Las Vegas game, the week leading into that Monday night game. They didn't sign him then. Aaron Jones didn't play in that game. Not really sure what the thought process was there. But now they sign him, exiting the bye week and getting ready for Denver on Sunday. The guy was really good in his rookie season, over 1,400 yards from scrimmage. As an undrafted free agent, that's an NFL record for an undrafted free agent. I like this. But he tore his Achilles. He hasn't been the same since. He's bounced around a little bit, spent some time with the Giants and the Patriots. But this move is interesting for the other two guys, right? Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. A.J. and A.J., as it says on Strouf's notes. It's really interesting for those two guys because, A, what does this mean about Aaron Jones' availability and his health? He practiced Monday, which is a good sign for his availability Sunday against Denver. But is this a long-term concern? Hammies have been the Packers' Achilles heel, no pun intended, this season. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Aaron Jones, all dealing with hamstring injuries. And Aaron Jones missing the Las Vegas game last week after playing a little bit against Detroit 11 days prior, essentially had a mini-bye in between and wasn't able to go. So what does this signing tell you? It tells you, number one, you probably won't see a lot of Emmanuel Wilson the remainder of this season once James Robinson joins the 53-man roster, which I would guess expect it to happen next week following the Denver game. What does this tell you about Brian Gutekunst's faith in the backup running back, A.J. Dillon, who had a decent night against the Raiders a week ago? But what does this tell you, right? Like, I don't have the answers, but both of those guys' roles are safe, but where does James Robinson come into play? Why him? Why now is, I guess, my question. Because you liked what you saw out of Emmanuel Wilson, the undrafted free agent rookie, in the preseason. He had a really nice preseason. He was the preseason darling, if you will. Hasn't translated to the regular season. Aaron Jones continues to deal with this hamstring injury, and A.J. Dillon continues to underperform. So what will James Robinson's role be? That's what I'm intrigued to see. I like the signing. Brian Gutekunst has made his money on low-risk, high-reward moves during his tenure as the general manager of the Green Bay Packers. Think of guys like Keyshawn Nixon, Rasul Douglas, Preston Smith, guys that were low-risk, high-reward moves. Could this be another one? Really the first one on the offensive side of the ball for Brian Gutekunst, maybe outside of the offensive line. He's made a couple of moves there over the years that have been nice, right? So maybe this is a low-risk, high-reward type move. I don't expect him to play a ton throughout the season, but I do expect him to make at least some sort of impact once he hits the 53-man roster. Like I said, I would expect that probably after the Denver game. I think it's a fun signing. That's pretty much my view on that. But yeah, the signs are interesting, right? What does this tell you about their faith in A.J. Dillon? What does this tell you about their expectation for Aaron Jones' health the remainder of the season? Because I don't think you make a splash signing like this unless you intend to use said splash signing. And while James Robinson has not lit the world on fire since his rookie season and since his Achilles tear, he's not your average run-of-the-mill practice squad running back. Right, like it kind of reminds me, obviously in a very different way, of Melvin Gordon a year ago. Cut from Denver on the Kansas City practice squad, has bounced back and forth on the Baltimore practice squad this year. Melvin Gordon, the former Badger, of course. Like, good running back in his prime. Not in his prime anymore, but still a good running back who can probably contribute to some degree. And that's how I view James Robinson. So I like this signing. Good signs overall. All right. So yesterday was the annual Madison Chamber of Commerce gala, event, dinner, all of the above, presentation. And 10 of us from ESPN Madison were lucky to attend, 2 of which are me and Hunter Vaughn, the producer of this show. And it was a terrific evening. I'll tell you what. Over 1,200 people there, a great speaker, Priya Parker, who's a great author. Really enjoyed her speech at the end of the night. But boy, was it a big one. Like, I just got to be honest with you. I got a little bit of a headache today. I'll be honest. I got a little bit of a headache. Hunter Vaughn also has a little bit of a headache today.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. It was a night.
You were feeling it last night. You were one of the highlights of the night. There was a moment at our table of 10 where for about 6 minutes consecutively you were just sitting there and giggling.
It was because I started laughing at something because we made the mistake of sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
Which we probably shouldn't have done.
In a professional setting, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you said something, I started to laugh. Other people started to laugh because I was laughing, and then I couldn't stop laughing because other people were laughing. It was just a whole thing.
Yeah, so definitely our element, right? Like, I was wearing a suit coat, which I don't often do. Obviously, I'm wearing a hoodie right now, if you're watching on the video stream or listening on the audio side. I don't dress up often, right? Like, the most get-up I usually wear is maybe like a flannel on an average day. So I was full-blown suit coat last night. But I came into the office today. Excuse me. And, yeah, I'm telling you, we're working on low sleep. And I mentioned how I got home last night around 11 o'clock because we went and had a round after at our friends at the Great Dane Pub and Brewing Company. Great Dane Huddle tomorrow from 6 to 7 on ESPN Madison. And I decided I wanted a snack when I got home. And that snack for me was I wanted to make a turkey sandwich. And when I make turkey sandwiches, I'm trying to rip off Jimmy John's Club Lulu, which is my favorite sub from them. It's turkey, bacon, lettuce, tomato, mayo. And I bought some French bread. So I get home last night. I'm starting to cut up the French bread. I chop up some lettuce. And then I realize, oh, smokes, I need to make some bacon. So I whip out a frying pan, and I toss 5 pieces of bacon down on it, start seasoning it up, whatever, right? So I make up the bacon. And then I'm starting to think, okay, if I'm making a Club Lulu, this bacon is not warm. So how am I going to get this bacon from the stove to cold, right? What's my path of least resistance, if you will?
Okay.
And so I said to myself, well, I'm up. I'm not going to bed anytime soon. I'm going to have one more beer. So I open a beer, and I think, okay, the time it takes me to drink this, I can put the bacon in the freezer, and it'll be down to about room temperature. So I open the beer, I drink the beer, I put the 5 pieces of bacon in a tin. I think I may have eaten one, so maybe 4 pieces of bacon in the tin. And I put it on the ice cubes in a container. Not like directly on the ice cubes, but in a container on the ice cubes in my freezer. And then I break the bacon out, and I throw it on the sub, and then I eat the sub. And then I had the other half for lunch just a minute ago.
I'm just fascinated by the fact that you, in the state you were in, said, yep, bacon into the freezer.
Hold on.
That's where we need to go.
You were in worse shape than I was. I wasn't in that bad of shape. I was okay.
I was fine.
Everybody was
home.
fine.
Don't tell people like
everybody was fine, right? Like we weren't like
had
wasted.
A good time.
We had a good time, and so yeah, no, like I wasn't in a bad state. I was just like I was feeling good. I was having a good night, and so I put the bacon on the ice, and then I made the sandwich. So I tell you the story this morning.
Yes.
And your response is what?
Funny you say that. I also went home and had a snack, but I had a much more reasonable snack. I just threw in some microwave nachos. So it was literally just some tortilla chips from Pasquale's, some shredded cheese, microwaved it for a minute, and then ate up the nachos and gave my wife a rundown of the evening.
So let's acknowledge yesterday was Tuesday.
Yes.
Yesterday was not Saturday. You went home and made microwavable nachos.
Yeah. Love nachos.
I don't think that's a Tuesday night snack. Where, like, I think a turkey sandwich is.
Taco Tuesday? Duh.
Okay, fair point. Fair point. All right, so there's our rundown. Great night. Shout out to the Madison Chamber of Commerce. It was a terrific evening. Our friend Chad Hopper, one of the ambassadors, one of our sales and marketing teammates here at ESPN Madison. Great night. So, anyway. All right. So, I wanted to do this today because we've been doing a radio version of Mr. Irrelevant this week. So 6 to 6:30 leading you into MLB postseason coverage. A little bit different than the podcast we do. It's more radio-esque, right? And this is more podcast-esque. So yesterday on the show that aired on the radio, I was reading the ESPN.com power rankings for the NFL. Packers come in at number 20. And the topic that the ESPN NFL Nation writers, every team has an NFL Nation writer. It's Rob Demovsky for the Packers, who I'm sure if you're a Packers fan, you're familiar with him. So he had to write a lesson learned. And the lesson learned for the Packers was Jordan Love needs more time. And you look around the power rankings, a lot of the team's lesson learned has to do with their quarterback situation, right? Like, you remember how blessed you've been if you're a Packers fan for the last 3 decades, that your quarterback situation was never a worry, right? Like, you just had your guy. You had your guy. Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre were always your guy. You knew you would win football games with them, and you knew you'd always have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl. You just have for the last 3 decades. And now you're in this situation, and we are in this situation as Packers fans with Jordan Love, where you don't really know if he's your guy yet, right? You've got 5 games in the books. 2 of them are really good. 3 of them are bad for the most part, including that Saints game where he had a terrific fourth quarter, but he played like crap the first 3 quarters. So you're trying to grasp onto literally everything you can, right? Oh, that's a great throw, but he missed it, right? Like, or, that's a good idea, but he threw an interception. And you're trying to grasp at straws, trying to figure out if he's your guy. And I was really depressed last week after the 3 interception, no touchdown performance against the Raiders. I came on here and I said, I'm in panic mode. I've calmed myself down a little bit, but I can't sit here and tell you I believe Jordan Love is the guy right now. I can't, right? Like, it's not that simple. So as I read through these power rankings, I'm reading teams like the Atlanta Falcons and the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts grasping at straws through the first 6 weeks of the season, figuring out if Anthony Richardson is the guy in Indy or if Desmond Ridder is the guy in Atlanta. So here's what we're going to do. We're gonna do a trial separation from Jordan Love, and we're going to play Tinder Time. The point of Tinder Time is, for all of you Gen Zers listening to podcasts, I don't need to explain it to you, but for maybe some of you millennials, talking to you, Justin, maybe you don't know what Tinder is. So Tinder, you open it, it's pictures. You see pictures of people you could be interested in. You swipe right if you like them. You swipe left if you don't, and maybe you'll get a match out of it. Right? I see Ryan Wollersheim, the producer of Rutledge and Hamilton, sitting back here shadowing the show today, swiping on Tinder. How perfect. He's literally on Tinder. Can you pull up the camera for me, please? I saw him swiping as I'm explaining the rules of this game, and he is literally on Tinder as he shadows the show. This is incredible. So shout out to Ryan for truly participating in this game. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to do a trial separation from Jordan Love. So us, Jordan Love, we're on the rocks, man. It's over. So we, as Packers fans right now, are going to download Tinder. Hunter is going to give us the potential quarterbacks that we can either swipe right on, we like them, we'd be okay with life with them, or maybe the profile picture doesn't really pop out to me. Not loving this ideal candidate. We're going to swipe left. We will also play real Tinder rules. We get 1 super like. So if you throw a name at me that I'm like, yes, absolutely better than Jordan Love, I would totally prefer this guy, we are going to super like that guy. Those are the rules of Tinder Time. Hunter, how many names do you have?
I have 13 names.
Lucky number 13. All right, so we're going to go through 13 names and decide, is the grass potentially greener with this candidate, or would you prefer what you've seen out of Jordan Love the last 5 games for the foreseeable future? So let's start with name number 1.
First off, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, I knew he was going to pop up at some point. I didn't think he'd be the first name. This is one I struggle with. I'm going to swipe left, but it's not because he's a bad quarterback. He's a quarterback that knows how to win. He's played in a Super Bowl, right? And obviously as a backup quarterback, he won a Super Bowl. But with San Francisco, with Kyle Shanahan, in a very similar system to what Green Bay runs, he made it to a Super Bowl. The issue is he can't stay healthy. And in order to compete for championships, your quarterback needs to stay healthy, right? I always say this saying, specifically in basketball, but it really applies in every sport. You need 3 qualities in order to win a championship. You got to be good, you got to be lucky, you got to be hot, right? Like, you got to get hot at the right time, you got to be a good team, and you got to catch some breaks, whether that's from the injury front or whoever you're playing. Maybe the schedule works out in your favor in the postseason. So those are kind of the 3 things you look for. With Jimmy G, you got to be healthy. And you can't count on him to be healthy, right? So I referenced the power rankings list, and the Raiders were actually one of the teams I referenced on the air last night, because the lesson learned is that all 3 quarterbacks on the roster need to be ready at any given week, because you just can't predict the health status of Jimmy Garoppolo. So I will swipe left on Jimmy Garoppolo. If he's healthy, I'm swiping right, though, but he's not. And also, he's really handsome, so he's perfect for a game like Tinder Time.
Exactly. That's why I had to lead off with him. Second, Ryan Tannehill.
Another really tough name. If you asked me this question 3 years ago, I'm swiping right. He's just a little bit out of my age range, right? On Tinder, you can select your age range. He's a little bit older than what I would typically go for. He's a good quarterback. I still prefer Jordan Love and maybe the upside that we could see from him in the coming years. He's only 24 years old. I'm going to swipe left. So we're actually 0 for 2 to start. No to Jimmy Garoppolo, no to Ryan Tannehill. Who's next?
Okay, let's go down in your age range a little bit. I got to try and narrow this down for you, get the algorithm to work. Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, Colorado's quarterback.
Yes.
I didn't know we were mixing in college quarterbacks. This is fun.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So essentially what you're looking at here when you bring up that name, this is a fun one, Hunter, is do you want another bite at the apple? Are you ready to call it quits on Jordan Love yet? And I know we're doing a trial separation. For the sake of this game, I will swipe right. I think I'd rather get out early than waste his time, waste the Packers fans' time, right? Like, oh, boy. Yeah, I'm gonna say swipe right on Shedeur Sanders. Where is he projected right now? Is he a first-round pick?
I've seen him sneak into the bottom of the first. I saw Ryan shaking his head no.
So probably a day 2 guy?
Yeah, it's so weird for him. I really think it depends on how the season finishes and what he does at the combine, if he comes out.
The thing with him is he's not a sure thing, like Drake May out of North Carolina, or I almost called him C.J. Williams, Caleb Williams out of USC. Those seem like sure things, surefire top 2 picks, assuming the Bears don't have both picks 1 and 2, but it might not hurt them to go quarterback if they have the top 2 picks. Nonetheless, yeah, I'll say yes. Let's swipe right on Shedeur Sanders.
Since we're talking about rookies, let's just go to the big one, Caleb Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a sure thing. He's probably the most. And look, it's really hard to translate because Bryce Young seemed like a surefire thing, and it seems like he's probably the 3rd best starting rookie quarterback right now, behind C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson, who may pop up in this game if I had to guess. So I'm swiping right on Caleb Williams, but it's never a sure thing. That's a tough thing about quarterbacking in the NFL, and it seems like even over the most the recent years, it's been less of a sure thing because you look at the history of the drafts, right? The top number 1 overall pick, usually a sure thing. Cam Newton, Peyton Manning, right? Like guys like that, they've slotted in and they've been terrific. He seems like the sure thing, Caleb Williams. But we'll see. You never know what translates. So, yes, I'm swiping right on Caleb Williams. I almost used the super like there, but I'm going to hang on to it.
Would you use it on Dak Prescott? Guy puts up a lot of numbers.
So you're a Cowboys fan.
Yes.
Which is what makes this fun. I'm swiping right. I'm not using the super like on Dak Prescott, but I would swipe right. I would rather have Dak Prescott than Jordan Love right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I just wanted to make sure, so that's why I threw him on there. We'll stay in the NFC East. Sam Howell. He's got 1,500 yards on the season. That's number 9 in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Jordan Love's yards is not the sexy number. The touchdown number was sexy early on, and that obviously has fallen off. 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in the last game he played. I just don't think it changes anything. So I would swipe left. I think it's almost like if you had a carbon copy of your ex on Tinder. You know, you see, in my case, right, a girl, and it's like, whoa, that looks just like my ex. I'm going back to the comfortable thing. Sam Howell feels like a lot like Jordan Love. There's so many things that are uncertain. You don't really know about him yet. He might be Washington's guy. I don't want him as Green Bay's guy. I will swipe left, and it will take me a while, like Ryan is back there, clicking through the pictures. Right? You got to click through a couple of the pictures to really make a sound decision. I'm thinking about this one. I'm clicking through the pictures a couple times. I'm reading their Spotify profile, but I'm going to ultimately swipe left on Sam Howell.
Now, let's go out west, a guy that was in the MVP conversation a little bit last year, Geno Smith. He's also on the older end.
Yeah, that's where my head goes as well. But I'd probably take him. Strouf likes himself a cougar.
That's not surprising. That's very on brand for you.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm going to swipe right on Geno. I've been really impressed with him the last year and a half.
Another older quarterback out west as well, Russell Wilson.
No. I just can't stand him. And he's been horrible in Denver. And we'll see that on display, obviously, on Sunday when they play the Packers. He's been really bad since he's gone to Denver. Now, obviously, 2 years, 2 head coaches, 2 offensive coordinators, 2 different play callers. So, yeah, it hasn't been an easy situation, but they do have some pieces around him, and he hasn't made the most of them. Also, as you mentioned on the older side, I would say no to Russell Wilson at this point. 3 years ago, my answer is completely different.
Now, what about a guy in the same division as Jordan Love, Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, that's a fun one. Because he'll be a free agent. And I don't anticipate the Packers moving off of Jordan Love after this year. I like Kirk. I really do. Again, it's an age thing, though, right? If you want a guy, you want him forever. And I know, obviously, saying I swipe right on Geno makes no sense if I swipe left on Kirk. I prefer if my quarterback doesn't shop at Kohl's. I will swipe left on Kirk Cousins.
Weird reason to swipe left on somebody. Kohl's is great. How about Justin Herbert?
See, that makes sense for you. Here's where my super light comes into play. 2020 NFL Draft, the Packers go Jordan Love. He's looking like the worst of those first-round picks. Justin Herbert looking like maybe the best. Joe Burrow obviously up there too, but he's had a rough season. Super light gets used here on Justin Herbert. I would absolutely take Justin Herbert 10 times out of 10 for the next 10 years.
Justin Herbert, a former Oregon Duck, will stay in the Pac-12. Another rookie potential, Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, I'm swiping right. I really like him.
You didn't let me finish my joke.
Oh, God.
I was going to say, do you like the big Penix energy?
Ugh. I'm sorry I let you tell that. That's embarrassing. Why would you do that to yourself? That's awful.
It was funny.
Who's laughing?
I was laughing. I thought it was funny.
That was really bad. I'm sorry I made you do that. Yeah, I'm swiping right. I really like Mike Penix. I like Washington. They are a really fun team to watch. Complete side note. But yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of these rookie quarterbacks next year, this is going to be a really good class. Now, again, this goes back to the translation. I think back on like the great quarterback classes that I was crushing over. 2012, I think it was that Andrew Luck, Robert Griffin III. My personal favorite was Jake Locker, who was a total bust. I thought he was going to be the dude, right? Like I thought he was terrific in college. So you never know. It's hit and miss, right? And then Robert Griffin III and Andrew Luck both deal with injuries. Excuse me. You can see, you got energy in my head now. Yeah, my answer is yes. I would love to take another bite at the apple. If we get to the end of the season, we say, hey, Jordan Love's not the guy. Let's take a crack at it then. Let's move off of him as quick as possible. Although I think, for the sake of this game, obviously we are breaking it off with Jordan Love. But at the end of the day, he is likely and almost definitely going to get the opportunity in 2024 to play again. But if it came down to it, I would swipe right on Michael Penix Jr.
Now, a guy that's just been coming on this year due to the injury of Kyler Murray in Arizona, Josh Dobbs.
No.
He's got 1,200 yards.
I picked him up in fantasy because I had to drop Mac Jones. Please do not bring up Mac Jones, or else it's just going to be 10 minutes of me ragging on Mac Jones. That guy stinks. Josh Dobbs, but no, he's a backup. And we're trying to figure out if maybe Jordan Love's a backup. But, yeah, no, Josh Dobbs is a backup. Been impressive, but he's a backup. Feature Cowboys, but he's a backup.
What about Deshaun Watson?
Well, this is morals versus football now.
Let's just purely on field. He's been injured this year.
correct, and that's where my head goes as well. I'd probably swipe right. If he can get back to even 80% of what he was in Houston, it's a surefire thing. It's a surefire yes. I would swipe right. Although, if this is a dating app, I'm blocking.
Yeah. I thought that would go without saying. I didn't expect you to even have to bring that up.
Oh.
And one last quarterback. You mentioned him as you started to intro Tinder Time, Desmond Ridder.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm swiping left because I think similarly to the case I made for Sam Howell, right? Like, it's a guy that you're still trying to figure out exactly what he is, trying to figure out if he's worthwhile, if he's your quarterback for the future. I would swipe left. I just think it's again, a kind of a carbon copy situation. You didn't bring up Justin Fields, which I thought was interesting.
I honestly just kind of assumed that it was a no. I'm just not. I'm kind of done with Justin Fields. I don't think he's it.
So the argument, I agree with you. And C.J. Stroud is another name I thought you would bring up because I would have gone super like there.
That's why I was trying to. I thought Justin Herbert would be a iffy super like.
Yep.
And I didn't want to just have like a surefire, like throw in Patrick Mahomes. Like
No, I agree. Ridiculous. Or Josh Allen, right? Yeah, C.J. Stroud would be an interesting name to think about because he's been really good his first 5-6 games, whereas Jordan Love has not been. So that's a fun name. I'm sorry, what was the last name? Ridder?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm swiping left. He doesn't get me excited. He's not good, I don't think. I don't think he's the dude. But if you read those power rankings, ESPN.com that I keep referring to, people are trying to make themselves feel really good about Desmond Ridder. Because if you're in quarterback, and I don't want to call it quite purgatory yet for the Packers, but if you're in quarterback questionville, let's call it. I don't know if that's got a ring to it or not. We'll have to come back to that. Quarterback questionville. It's hard to make a full determination through 5 games, 6 games, depending on what team you root for. So I would say right now, the majority of the guys you brought up, my answer is no. There are some names where I look at it and say, yes, I would rather have that than Jordan Love. Because Jordan Love has had flashes. He's had moments. He's had games. But you need to see it consistently. And obviously we haven't. We didn't expect to in year number 1 for him as a starter. So that's that. All right, we'll get to what Strouf Learned coming up next. That was fun. Nice job, Hunter.
Thank you.
But first, got to tell you about my friends at Door County Distillery and the awesome opportunity they are giving to you. You've got 1 week. Next Wednesday, we're picking a winner, October 25th. You get a free 2-night stay at Stone Harbor Resort in Sturgeon Bay. You get a free tour of Door County Distillery, free tour of Door County Candle Company, free tour of Door County Coffee Company. You get a free $500 gift card to each of those 3 locations. 2-night stay, $1,500 worth of gift cards, 3 free tours and tastings. You're not tasting the candles, but you get my point. You get a $500 gift card to buy candles. All you got to do is sign up at their website, doorcountydistillery.com/doorcountygetaway. It's doorcountydistillery.com/doorcountygetaway. Get on it now, people. It's a great opportunity to get away with your sweetheart or whatever you want to do. doorcountydistillery.com/doorcountygetaway. You've got until pretty much midnight next Tuesday because they're picking a winner next Wednesday the 25th. You got 1 week to sign up. doorcountydistillery.com/doorcountygetaway. Anybody's eligible. Go. doorcountydistillery.com/doorcountygetaway. All right, time now for what Strouf learned. And the answer is not a lot recently. Not a lot. This James Robinson thing has entered my head. But what I have learned is Giannis Antetokounmpo is on a whole nother level this year. After Sunday's preseason game against the Lakers, in which he didn't play a ton, but he played well, and you obviously have the new duo, best duo in the NBA of him and Damian Lillard, Giannis knows he's ready to win a ring, another one. And he went downright disrespectful on Instagram this week as he made a post of some of the pictures, the sights from Sunday's preseason game against the Lakers, including a block he had on the Lakers' Christian Wood. The best part about this, Giannis being downright disrespectful, is he posted the picture. Awesome picture, by the way. Stuffed that ball. He tagged Christian Wood in the Instagram post. So not only is it disrespectful to post the picture, he straight up tagged the dude, gave him a notification that Giannis Antetokounmpo tagged you in a photo, and it's you getting your S rocked. I love that from Giannis Antetokounmpo. Total demon mode for my guy Giannis. Disrespectful, I love it.
He wasn't being disrespectful. He's just being a nice friend. You know, hey, we were in a photo together. I'm letting you know, hey, you were in this photo too. Give him the credit because he was in there too.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think he's done this before. So that is just downright dirty and nasty from Giannis, who's getting ready to win a ring. All right, big thanks to Hunter Vaughn for running the show as always. We'll be back Friday with comedian Shea Durana, who's playing Comedy on State in the month of November. So we'll talk a little bit about that, his comedy journey. He's Canadian originally, now lives in the U.S., touring the U.S., so excited to catch up with him on Friday's edition of Mr. Irrelevant. We'll also do a little preview. We've got the Brett Bielema Bowl, Wisconsin, Illinois, coming up Saturday. And the Packers are back on a Sunday, finally. So they play the Denver Broncos Sunday afternoon, 3:25 kickoff out in Colorado. We'll talk to you Friday. This has been Mr. Irrelevant. I'm Alex Strouf.